Hello everybody, short video on Hailey Dunn. It was off my Facebook post this morning and it comes from a comment that I got today. What you're looking at is a picture of the famous missing murdered 13-year-old Hailey Dunn from Colorado City, Texas, and this was taken 2 days before she was reported missing in December of 2010. And next to her is her mom, Billy Dunn, and then her boyfriend, Sean Atkins, and they now have Sean charged with the murder of Hailey, saying he bashed her head in, and so that's really what this is about. I'm going to talk about how it's connected to my house, the evidence that I found, and that's convinced me that Hailey was kidnapped and brought to Odessa and overdosed in Odessa, and so this is going to be a short read. Now you're going to find this really amazing. This should be national news. Hailey Dunn evidence. Sean Atkins, the former boyfriend of Billy Dunn, was arrested and charged with the murder of Hailey Dunn. They're claiming he bashed her head in, but I've documented multiple people saying that Hailey was kidnapped by gang members, taken to Odessa where she was overdosed. None of those people have said Sean was there. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay. And then here was the print screen of the message from today, coming from Angie Mitchell Reddick. It says, but Buddy Wayne, I like to focus on all the info turned over to you. Notice people came to the U.S. first, came to us first before the police. Believe me, people don't trust the police. So make time. Your wine should be delivered soon. Thanks for the bracelet you sent. Okay. And I wrote back and I said, I don't know what bracelet or wine you're talking about, but after Sean was indicted, I sent registered letters to him, the DA, to Texas Attorney General Paxton, the U.S. Attorney General, the Texas DPS, and the FBI, informing them that I documented a large group of people saying that Hailey was killed in Odessa. These are screenshot messages and recordings saying who, where, and how Hailey was killed. It's not my word against their word. I've got the print screens or the messages recorded. Multiple witnesses called out names, but none of them said that Sean was there when she was killed. I then quoted what was said and where the proof of these statements is located. This is information that needs to be brought up in court since it refutes the claim of Sean bashing her head in. Most of this evidence is posted in the public in videos on my YouTube channel. I've made over 35 videos about Hailey Dunn. This includes, and then you see the dot points, the asterisk I got on there. This includes the drug rehab counselor Christy Ott Smith, who said that Brett Bushman confessed to her in graphic detail about Hailey being overdosed and buried in a box on a ranch outside Odessa. I got the print screens and emails from them conversations. Sonia Renee Callahan wrote a letter saying she witnessed Hailey's death, and then 4 years later she called me. I secretly recorded her describing the moment Hailey died. This is an eyewitness to Hailey's murder, described it on a phone call on my YouTube channel. Allison Frazier, who made the tell-off phone call with Angelina, she said that Hailey was buried in the backyard of Jackie Thompson. Jackie Thompson is a former Odessa police officer. Rainer Brott, who told me she believed Hailey was killed at her home at 6619 Cloudcroft and that home later burned down. She was afraid for her life and she was dead 6 months later. I have all the conversations and print screens from Raina. Tisha Brumley, who told me that her niece saw and talked to Hailey twice before she died in Odessa. Once was at Raina's house, and the other was at the home of Jackie Thompson, that Odessa police officer. She said that Hailey was put in a septic tank before she was moved to Scurry County. And then there's a lady here who I kept anonymous because she's worried for her life. And she was recorded telling me that her friend witnessed Hailey being overdosed and that it was Max Mays that did it. That was one of them Odessa gang members. She told me that both went to Ector County law enforcement and they told them that this was on record. Okay. A young neighbor of mine told me that her aunt got an email saying that C.J. Haynes and possibly his young girlfriend, Courtney McDuffie, were there at the house Hailey was at. I sent his picture to Allison, and she confirmed he was there. Taryn Thomas, that wrote on my Facebook that about 10 people knew that Hailey was at that house over in Odessa, and supposedly she was buried in the backyard after being overdosed. I got the print screen of Taryn saying that. Brandy Dunn said that the murder of Hailey and the murder of Cody was recorded, and the cops have the recordings. Allison told me that she watched the video of Cody being killed and that he was killed because they were worried he was going to snitch about Hailey. Jessica Lee Hadley told me that she watched the murder recording and described it as disgusting. 3 people said that there was tapes of them recordings, and I was told the cops have the tapes. Brandon Sims, who recently told me that Hailey was killed at David Parker's house and buried behind it. I have the print screen. That was on TikTok just recently. This is just a summary of what all I was told, and many of these I have recordings on. I'm 100% convinced that Hailey was killed in Colorado City, Texas, by Bertie and his friends, taken to Odessa, where she was pimped out before they overdosed her. There's a large group of people that knew this. Several people told me that a big-time drug dealer named Letty was the person who ordered Hailey to be killed over a small drug debt the mom owed. It was supposedly to make a point to anybody else that owed money. And it was Allison that said on a recording that her former baby daddy, Bertie's the one that told her all this. Furthermore, several people told me that Hailey's mom, Billy Dunn, was a stripper at the time, and she had been taking Hailey to the strip clubs with her. It makes sense that all of the strippers in the area were at the oil show parties in October 2010. So I've suspected that Billy and or Hailey was there. That would put them in the $1 million underground homes near my home in my backyard, where the parties are believed to have been held and attended to by wealthy people and high-level police that don't want anybody to find out this missing murdered child was there with them 2 months before she was reported missing. Interestingly, I was told that Billy Dunn was a confidential informant, and she was called one of Joe's girls. I believe this to be Joe Commander. I wonder if he knew where the missing murder tapes went. He's a cop over in Odessa. A lot of people said was dirty. My part in this case is I wrote the Department of Justice on March 14, 2013, and suggested somebody look in the underground homes by my house. And 2 days later, the remains of Hailey were found outside of Scurry County after she'd been missing for over 2 years. Poof, there she is. And ain't that amazing? This picture was taken 2 days before she was alleged to have been kidnapped. Right there. And like I said, that's the mom. That's the boyfriend that's charged. And none of them people, all them people said that Hailey was killed over in Odessa. Who did it, where it was done, how it was done. 10 different people documented saying it. But for whatever reason, the DA says that Sean bashed her head in. And, and all these other people are saying that she's overdosed. Something real fishy's going on. And I think the cover-up has to do with them underground homes by my home where they're having the oil show parties, where I was told about another young girl being murdered. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.